Hey everybody, welcome to Ask the Anabolic Doc, starring Dr. Thomas O'Connor and brought to you by his websites, metabolicdoc.com and anabolicdoc.com. See, he's not just a regular doctor, he actually works out himself. Both of those, you can get his book, America on Steroids, A Time to Heal, also available on amazon.com. How are you today, doctor?
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ron. Enjoying the summer.
Right before we started, I said on my daily pump picks thread, one of the guys that posts shared a story, and this brings to our attention that you still need to educate more of your fellow physicians here, because there's just a lot of ignorance out there. So the guy calls himself Heroes Fall. This isn't a question, but I really wanted to share this on the show. He says, went to my family doctor today for my yearly physical, required per my TRT doctor, and was working with a resident doctor as my normal was booked. I'm in great health, blood pressure near optimal, heart rate good, no issues. Resident goes out to have a full doctor review her notes and sign off. 20 minutes goes by, and the doc and resident comes in. The doc asks me what my TRT is all about, why I'm taking it. Am I aware of the risks? I answer all the questions, give the well-known list of potential risks, and after she listens to me, she says, are you aware of the long-term effects? You could have a severe stroke in your 30s, and that would traumatize your life. I just stared at her. Apparently, all users of TRT and or steroids should thank their stars that they aren't dead within a year or two, since testosterone is so dangerous. Her research has indicated this from the technical papers that she's read. So now I am not cleared for my annual, and they want to see all my blood work to verify for themselves if I'm healthy, and they hopefully will contact my doctor so he can inform them as to why the risks aren't as immediate and severe. Nothing is ever simple. So, well, you clearly don't have O'Connor as your physician, sir.
But here's the thing. The thing what's bad about that is, and it's embarrassing, is beyond some of the politics and that, it's a woman to a man and all these kind of political things.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bad, Ron. Mm. But when you're an educated professional and you're ignorant, that's a stupid statement globally to say that TRT leads to stroke.
Yeah.
There's no data. Okay. This is a show based on evidence-based data, right? Mm-hmm. So the interesting piece of the show is I go into the realms of where there's no data, right. But the data for TRT is very clear.
Yeah.
There's controversy on it. Let's remember what the Fed said a couple years ago. Potentially can cause heart attack and a stroke. What happened? Since that time period, it's been rebuked. The experts at Hopkins, Mayo, and Cleveland have all come. Those are not small places.
Yeah.
Those expert doctors who have nothing to do with steroids came back and said the data is wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah.
Completely wrong. Harvard too. So, but in this period now, you have to be careful how you give any medicine.
Right.
But clearly, to say that a man who needs TRT, he probably might have been a steroid user, and he's depleted himself.
Yeah.
And he needs testosterone. And the unfortunate reality is these doctors should be ashamed. And I'm calling that doctor out. Doctor, if you could hear this, resident physician, I teach in the program of resident. Those are not doctors, really doctors yet. They're resident. They're not licensed fully in the state that they're in.
Okay.
They're resident physicians, they're doctors in training.
Yeah. So.
And I teach in the med school at University of Connecticut, and they should be ashamed for doing that. If we did this to a woman that was, forget transgender, if she's on hormones, if you came in the room and said to a woman, what are the tits about?
What are the tits about?
I do the stuff, Ron. Half of the show is I have to make you laugh because it's a long day. But the truth is, am I right or wrong, Ron?
Oh yeah, you could. There's a double standard.
What are the tits about, honey?
Yeah,
what's this birth control about? What's this hormone?
How
now,
dare
not
you.
to mention, what is this transgender thing about? And I agree.
Yeah.
We have to be careful with people.
Yeah.
People, we have to be progressive. Not to mention, we're physicians. We're not supposed to hate. Coming into a room when you're not even a full-fledged physician attending, and coming in and making a global statement, and you're wrong. You are wrong. And you're a woman, and that's a man.
Yeah.
I'll say no more. God bless that man.
And
hope he does. I hope he doesn't sue her. Maybe he could turn around and sue. Hey, look, we're in the North. This is our life now, Ron, right?
Yeah.
Everyone sues the shit out of each other.
It's good for the lawyers. But as a footnote, there was a post right after that from another gentleman, Derek Johnson. He said he tore his bicep a few years ago. And he was in the emergency room, and a nurse came in to do his vitals or whatever it was. She took one look at him and said, those steroids will kill you. And he said, considering that you're overweight and you reek of cigarettes, I'm really not taking too much offense to your statement there. So there you go.
Fighting back.
Seriously. All right. First question this week comes to us from our man, the Swaminator. Swami, he asks you, based on previous posts, it appears, generally speaking, Doc is not a fan of HCG.
That's not true. Okay.
Sir, you'll have your chance to speak in a moment.
You're right, Your Honor.
No, what do they say in the court? Something like that. But Doc is not a fan of HCG. What if money was not an issue? Fertility was not an issue. Assume a dude simply wants to keep his testes from retracting up into his stomach cavity. Is that even a thing? Due to TRT for cosmetic purposes. He wants the balls to hang, apparently.
I love this question. I love it.
What is the risk-reward factor with HCG? And is the HCG fat loss fad real? Can you really dump fat from HCG, or is that simply a marketing thing for the fake HCG diets out there, which this is news to me? Does HCG negatively impact cardiovascular conditions? Boy, where to begin? First of all, you never said you were not a fan of HCG, correct?
HCG is a miracle drug. I had a good call from, I think, yesterday or the day before. What is today? Thursday? Monday, I think, or Tuesday.
Yeah.
One of my guys, we used HCG on him. Oh, I got a good story.
Okay.
So the guy has been on steroids for 10 years or longer. Comes to me years ago because he just wants to surrender. Doc, I'm done. Take care of me. If I need TRT, let me. So I put him on TRT. He's only mid 35, 36.
Yeah.
So now he's like 40, he's probably 42, 43. He wants to finally have a kid. So his wife is a sweetheart. She said, this is somewhere in the Midwest. He said, she likes me. She thinks, but she goes, look, Dr. O'Connor, I don't know. Let's go to my fertility people and see what they say. He goes, honey, it's pretty easy. The doc says we're just going to use HCG. So, sure enough, goes out there. They see him. They check his sperm. He's actually on testosterone, so he has zero zilch. He has nothing. There's no completely, which is predictable, especially a guy that's been on steroids for 10 years before.
Okay.
And so they say, let's give you Clomid. You can see where I'm going, right? They go, we're going to give you. Again, I'm not putting these people down. This is why it's an expert. You better have a doc that knows this stuff and understand the broology, because these are fertility urologists in the middle of the country that are very smart. They obviously don't see this too much, but if they do, they're using Clomid. So the guy goes, honey, I promised you, we saw your doctor. Now it's time for me to give the doc a call, because I see this guy every year. He comes in for his exam. So it calls me up months ago and he goes, Doc, what are we going to do? I go, you can do what you want to do, but I wouldn't recommend Clomid. Let's just put testosterone to the back of the shelf and let's give you HCG. So I gave him, and I know the doses to use because I've been in the underground steroid world long enough to realize 500 units ain't going to cut it. 1,000, probably not. 1,500, probably not. 2,000 to 3,000. You have to use your gut as an expert doctor. So I used 2,500.
Yeah.
He went back in. This is why he called me. I haven't talked to him in a few months. He goes, Doc, game on. They checked my sperm, even though she's pregnant. Why would you even waste money on checking my sperm when she's in her 20th week of being pregnant? The baby's fine. It's a boy.
Oh, okay.
And if he's listening to this, it's a great story. No names mentioned. Somewhere in the Midwest is good enough, right? No HIPAA law. Yeah. So the guy goes, Doc, I got to be honest with you. She did my sperm count, and it's bouncing off the roof.
Wow.
And she said, what did you do? And he said, I got Dr. O'Connor, the Anabolic Doc. He gave me 2,500. He said, probably don't go with the Clomid, go with this. And she was really nice, and she said, your doctor's a genius. Now, I'm actually an idiot. I'm kind of like an idiot working. It takes an idiot to do it.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is, that's how I use HCG, Swami. HCG, number one for me, is incredible for men that are on TRT, not to mention steroids. to get fertile.
Hmm.
So number one, so I do like it. But now let's answer your question. Let's go to the first question or the last. The HCG diet is fake news. It's been out there for years, and that's the reason why most CVS pharmacies and Rite Aid and Walgreens won't carry it, because they got years ago, because of the HCG diet, they got hammered. I don't know, from the regulators or from the states. I don't know what did, or the feds. I don't know what, but they don't want to deal with it. The HCG diet is comical. It's HCG and 500 calories a day.
Oh,
Ron,
500 calories.
Ron, if it's a joke, right? I mean, 500 calories a day plus crap from under my shoe injected in my ear.
So wait, this wasn't, they weren't using the HCG diet. Were they getting actual pharmaceutical HCG, or was it something
so there's two things. It's bullshit. Way back when, which is like 15 years ago, Swami, is when this came out. Like, this is old news. It was HCG because it has some kind of a fat burning property. It increases your goddamn androgen levels. It's going to pump it's going to pump your ovaries if you're a woman. I guess it's going to increase some of her androgen from her ovarian androgen. Obviously, that's where it comes from, in addition to the adrenals. I'm not an OB-GYN expert. I'm an internist. Okay, back to the story. She's going to pump out tons of eggs. You're going to have multiple pregnancies. These are fertility medicines, folks. Okay, so HCG diet is going to burn some fat. On men, it's going to increase their testosterone levels. Duh. But what it does, if you're doing that, and then you're not eating calories, and I thought everyone knew this already. I was a little amazed. Swami, you know that.
Come on, Swami.
It's a joke. It's a paradox. It's not HCG. It's the absence of, again, shoe glue in my right ear, 500 calories. No, it's the shoe glue.
Yeah, you'll lose weight.
Okay, so you're going to lose weight on the shoe glue alone, right? Okay, so HCG diet is a fad. It's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. There's no scientific proof for it all. But I love our show. We're booming. Things are insane. Come on, guys. Okay. Show me some data. Let's see some data, scientific data, not just anecdotal, stupid stuff. Let's see real data. I want to see reproducible studies that show HCG diet works, and I want to see what were the study parameters. Okay. Let's see it. I just don't. It's not going to be found. So HCG HCG used not for dieting. We use it for fertility. Doctors really use it, and then we use it for men. There are some men that have low T and they want to have increased T and they don't want to be infertile. So there's two drugs we use. We use Clomid and we use HCG, Swami.
Okay.
Now again, men that have had prior exposure to androgens, steroid users, testosterone users, they don't feel good on Clomid. I'm trying to teach the urology world this. Men go in and they say, "Can you do me a favor? Can we not use the Clomid stuff?" And hold on, if these are virgins, they've never been exposed to androgen. Yeah. Clomid works pretty good. I have some men right now. They have low T. They have legitimate low T. That they are candidates for replacement. These are a business guy. I don't know. He's an IT guy. I don't know. Whatever, he's a computer guy for somewhere in the Northeast. And I said, androgel. I said, "Oh, I don't want to do. What else can you have?" I go, "Well, we could use Clomid and HCG, but I mean, we just don't know how long we could use it for, and you may not feel good." He happens to feel great on a little bit of Clomid. 50 milligrams every other day. There's no rocket science. He's not a steroid user, so you don't need big steroid users. 50 milligrams of Clomid every other day, it will cause suicide.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
I'm not kidding.
It's notorious for making guys feel like, weepy and emotional. And
I swear to God. And there's no data, and it's an anti-estrogen. We don't need to talk about Clomid. HCG. This is an analog of luteinizing hormone. It goes right to the testicles, the Leydig cells, the soratory. It hits the testicles. Sperm goes up, semen goes up, and the testosterone goes up directly, bypasses the brain, and it goes up. It's not dangerous, Swami. There's no danger. You aromatize probably more than androgen, other topical or small injections. Yeah. Everyone knows that. You can aromatize more. But the fact that here is the crux of the question for the audience. Will it cause downregulation with testosterone, not to mention without testosterone, using it by itself?
Yeah.
Will a man feel good? Here's what I found. No. Men feel better on small doses of intermuscular esters, cypionate and anthate. Done. They just feel they're like high. Oh, sorry, they're getting high. I'm sorry, they're getting high. Okay. Not getting high.
I mean,
they feel euphoric.
So it seems like his main concern is he wants to use it cosmetically because his testicles have shriveled up and they're going up into his body, whatever.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, can that be done? Can he do that?
It can be, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So the anti-aging guys, this has been going on for what, 15, 20 years now? It's just boring. It's boring stuff. It's a great question though, but I talk about it all day long, but I guess it's boring for me. I do apologize. It's HCG. There's no rule book. There's no medical textbook. And Llewellyn's is in there, and he talks about the protocols for PCT, using it in conjunction with other Nolvadex, anti-estrogens. That's PCT. And there's a couple of variations of that. We don't need to go into that. Anti-aging and doctors, and if they like, when you use testosterone, we all know it disconnects your brain from your testicles. Your testicles are going to atrophy. Yeah, they're going to be little peas. It is what it is. Yeah. It's not going to cause testicular cancer. It's not going to cause prostate cancer. It's uncomfortable. I even yesterday or the day before, I can't. One day seems like another to me. It's the same. It's one long day for me.
I'm sure.
It seems like a lot of men do have this. The testicle atrophies, and it one side or the other goes up, and it's annoying. It's annoying. It doesn't happen to all men. It doesn't happen to most men. Okay, it's sometimes, and I think it's men that have maybe a history of not cryptocoidism, where they had a testicle that had to be pulled down, intra-abdominal testicle, or a testicle that had to be dropped, and that's a risk for testicular cancer. Oof. This is men's health. Yeah. But men know this. Men, if they have primary care, at least some primary care when they were pediatric, when they were young men, when they were little boys, like they check for that. Okay. So, and I've had dozens of men with testicular cancer, and they have one testicle. So they had orchiectomy for one. I've never seen a guy cut off two, but they cut one off.
Yeah.
And so you don't mention it's no wonder why those men feel my God, one testicle. That does something to you. Yeah. So a lot of these guys give themselves testosterone later. I found out, interestingly enough, that having one testicle, at least when you're a young man, even into your 40s and 50s, without steroid use, they still produce normal testosterone. Isn't it amazing? I would, and this is the urology.
I mean, I would think it kind of makes sense to me from my dumbass the way I draw conclusions. I figure if you can live with one kidney and have normal kidney function with one kidney, it sort of makes bridges the gap. It fulfills the function of both of them. I would imagine
it's consistent. But it is true. I've talked to urologists. I call doctors. Today I spoke to like 4 doctors. I mean, all mainly kidney. I'm dealing with the kidney stuff and the heart stuff always, and trying to help these guys out. So, but I've talked to urologists, and I said, Doc, is it true that guys who have they have one testicle removed for cancer and they're like in their 20s, do they have low T? And he said, no, the data shows that they really don't. But if they are going to have low T, there's no question they could manifest that earlier. I mean, so it could be they're more fragile because they have one. So at the end of the day, HCG is a great medicine. Some men for fertility, no question. Guys that are on steroids, they have to be if they do have to be put on testosterone, obviously in their 20s or 30s or 40s. If a guy's over 40 and he wants kids, I go like this to him. But I mean, look, if they do want kids, so we use HCG, but we don't. But there are some men that we use concomitantly at the same time, small testosterone, doses of T, and small doses every couple times a week of HCG. It works great, but the problem is this: there's no data for some guys. They don't keep doing it. I told you, they don't. They just show me the guy that does that religiously for 10 straight years.
No, I mean, regular steroid users would have no problem because they're so used to regularly injecting steroids, 3, 4, 5, 6.
But even those guys, Ron, I'm telling you, I'm the steroid expert. They just kind of, Doc, are you still doing the HCG shots, sir? Because, you convinced me that for your quality of life, and this is not like breaking, there's no laws being broken.
Right.
Like you're using, Doc, I'm interested, I want the 250 to the 500 I use every other day, or they do it at the testosterone shot, or they do it. Look, I've seen every regimen, and there's some great anti-aging doctors that give it, but I just hope you say this. When you give it, you better tell the patient that we don't know, it could shut down his balls worse.
Oh, God. Okay, Swami, don't do it, Swami.
And your testicles, when you're using it, will feel great. But once your here's my piece, the last piece.
Yeah.
When testicles finally are atrophied, I've already seen thousands of guys. They tell me, Doc, once your balls are atrophied, they're not going to come back with HCG. It's useless.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's what they tell me. But if you keep using it, and typically, I think if you're a young man, your balls respond very sensitively to HCG. But if you're a man, if you're on steroids or testosterone for, say, 20 or 30 years, and now you're into your 40s and 50s,
yeah,
I just don't see many men using, if none, regular small doses of HCG. But again, men, if you want to do it, there's no studies. Everyone's going to have an opinion on this.
Yeah.
If you want to do it, I tell guys, let's do it, but we have to make sure it doesn't increase your testosterone too much at the same time also. Because now you got T coming from your own endogenous T versus exogenous from the injections.
So if Swami's an older guy, I believe he is in his 40s, and he's been using steroids for years and his testicles have atrophied, you're saying it's pretty much permanent. The HCG is not going to give him the result he's after.
No.
Okay. Oh, that's a bummer.
No.
Okay. Let's get to a dietary question, which apparently they think you should be able to handle. So Albertos says, low carbs all day except peri-workout, where you consume the majority of them, including simple sugars. So just having low carbs and only really consuming carbs around your workout, do you believe this is best for bodybuilding and for general health? I don't know if this is the right question for you, but do you want this question?
The carb question?
Sure.
I like the
Yeah.
I like the carb. So I'm on a low carb diet right now, Ron. I'm just trying to get ripped up a little bit.
Okay.
I want to get lighter for the mountain bike because I fly over mountains and stuff better if I'm 10 pounds. It's like a 10-pound weight.
Sure.
So you know what I'm doing right now? I'm doing and all my patients do this stuff, so I learn from my people. I'm doing a modified ketogenic diet.
Okay.
And the truth is, carbs are poison. So 100% carbs, the low carb diet is the way to live. But can you do it?
No, I cannot.
See?
I like carbs. I love
carbs make you strong. Yeah. I mean, and they got, this is again more controversial topics. Like guys are going to have opinions on this stuff. It's incredible. But the ketogenic diet, where you're ready for this, you know what the number is for ketogenic diet? How many carbs per day?
0.
Like 25, less than 25 grams.
Okay, yeah, screw that. So for general health, it's definitely a better way to eat. I'm not questioning that, but
yeah,
for someone who wants to be a bodybuilder, I've always thought it's the almost zero carb diet is horrible way.
No. For bodybuilding, well, Ron, this is a better question for you, not me.
True. Yeah.
They can't do that. These guys need to have energy. I mean, but isn't it true though on keto? I don't do real keto, but I guess on keto at a certain point, people feel great.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that too. I don't personally understand it, but if they say so.
And do the bodybuilders when they're getting ready for a show, don't they do all sorts of crazy stuff like carb depleting and all that kind of stuff?
Oh yeah. I mean, when it's contest time, it's common sense and health really go out the window. It's all about achieving a desired look for like one day or for a few hours.
That's funny. It's funny.
Yeah. Our next question comes to us from last week. We had a novel, and this is another, not quite a novel. This is a novella from Say No to Drugs. So his question is, I draw with a 21 gauge head and switch it over to either a 1-inch 28 gauge or half-inch 31 gauge to pin. It depends on the quantity of oil and the type of carrier oil. MCT is very thin and flows out of a 31 gauge just fine. GSO and others are thicker, and I prefer a 28. Also, if I'm pushing more oil, I will heat up the loaded syringe with a hairdryer. Wow.
This is great.
I don't think I ever heard the hairdryer one. Broologist told me the concern with heating oil too much was it could cause the hormone to degrade, especially things like the devil's juice trend. Is there truth to this? So let's tackle that part of his question first.
First off, I have no idea. I have no clue whatsoever.
Well, yeah. I mean, you talked about the boiling point of oil is something ridiculous, like 400 degrees. So I don't think you're doing that with a hairdryer. Right?
I was just trying to think. The bigger, and I love the question. Say no to drugs to kids, guy. Great question. Because you see the response on the comments. Guys were coming out of nowhere with, no, you could use the 25 and the 28. No, if you really do it right, you can get a 30 gauge to work. I was like, really? Wow. So this is becoming a great show. Guys are just coming out with what they really do, But and one guy said, Ron's right, the doc's wrong, because if I heat it up in the bottle, it's going to change the composition. There was something, but Ron heats it up when it's in the actual syringe once it's already been in.
Right.
I said, boom, this is awesome.
Yeah. Why would you heat it up? I look at it like microwaving food or something. If I had 6 chicken breasts that I was going to eat over the course of a couple days, I wouldn't heat them all up and then just take out one, eat it, and then put it back in the refrigerator, and the next day heat them all up again. I wouldn't subject them to be heated up over and over.
Perfect. Ron, I'm here to learn too. Yeah. That was so. Don't heat up the whole thing over and over and over, because I probably could damage it. So take it out, then heat it up.
Yeah, with your hairdryer.
So I don't know, all these different questions, Ron, with the needle syringes and all this kind of stuff. I mean, the heads. If you warm something up too much, it's going to be damaged. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Well, he got into a lot of detail with the size of the heads and the pins. Okay, so next one he wants to know. I think you said you prefer HIIT over LISS. So high intensity interval training over a long is something sustained. What is it?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't even know that one. I know HIIT.
It basically means you're doing a longer session at a lower intensity. Anyway, what about when someone is on a blast? I've heard from Dr. Bro, I don't know that guy, that while on cycle, the extra work done by the heart can cause it to grow faster, and thus HIIT is more likely to contribute to LVH, and that you're better off with LISS while on gear.
Oh, great stuff.
Yeah,
this is great.
Go easy on the cardio, Doc, if I'm on cycle?
This is great stuff. No studies on this. Common sense. Good point, though. I mean, if you're doing high-intensity interval training, that has actually been shown to non-steroid users to be much more effective for people that have actually bad hearts, even people that are healthy, as far as protecting the heart. So if you're on gear and you're doing these high-intensity bouts, is it like doing reps and your heart's going to enlarge? That's it. What a great study that would be.
Yeah. So we don't know, right?
No one's going to know that. It's all going to be speculation. But I would speculate that what's good for the heart without steroids is probably going to be good for the heart on steroids. So high intensity interval training is just excellent all the time. So, but it's better than doing nothing at all, right? Half these guys don't. A lot of bodybuilders and guys who use steroids, Ron, I found out they're scared to do cardio.
Yeah.
Because they don't, and they do cardio after training, which is very interesting. Bodybuilders are different; they're using it for a different mechanism,
right?
To get lean and for the show. But as far as using cardio to stay healthy, it's like they don't want to lose much. There's a pathology on that, right?
Right. I mean, like when would you have cardio done? Because obviously, like I said, bodybuilders, we typically will do it after the weight training, immediately after. Is that not the optimal time in the grand scheme?
No, there's no. I mean, I have an exercise physiology background, but that was back in the 90s.
Yeah.
There must be. If someone could please help us with this, and healthy for what? Overall health. It's these people are so young and they're otherwise so healthy. Not to mention if you're throwing steroids in there, and you have bad genes that I'm seeing with heart disease, kidney disease, predisposition, and if you think you're going to offset that with some cardio,
have at it.
Good luck.
Yeah, I mean,
it just doesn't make sense.
Because I see people do cardio before their weights. These are not bodybuilders; these are like regular people. Yeah. And you can certainly do a better job of the cardio, get more intensity, and have a more productive cardio session if you do it first. But obviously, bodybuilders, we don't want to do that because the weight training is much more important to us.
Absolutely.
Trying to build the muscles, so we're not going to do anything that could compromise that workout, which doing the cardio prior to the weights would definitely do.
So as a powerlifter, it's the same thing. We want to lay down in between sets, and we sit around and it's called a bench party,
Yeah.
or squat party or deadlift party. It goes on for 2 or 3 hours. If you got about 5 or 6 guys, it's all political. Who's going to work out with a group, and we just sit. We put chairs up around whatever the bench and around, and you just freaking sit there, man, and just it's all. I mean, that's just it's a slug party. It's just. But you're benching 6, 7, 800. This is with the shirts and with the bands, the boards. Awesome. And it's just like, but it's talking about deadly stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no movement at all. There's like, we did like 12 sets and you go home. That's power lift. That's strength training.
Typically, power lifters, do they do cardio or none at all? Typically. None.
No,
Okay.
you don't want to do any, because if you read into the old Russian, now again, people are going to argue. This is a controversial show.
Sure.
People are saying, I'm wrong, he's wrong. Look, if you're looking at the Russian stuff, they do like, and even the Metzer. Remember Metzer stuff? One set with Dorian Yates back in the 90s.
Heavy duty.
So it's like, there's no question that there's a very fine line, exercise physiologically, with or without steroids, of hard, incredible, intense training. And you need a period of rest to grow. So who's going to run? None of us run.
That's true.
Because that's going to deteriorate you're going to be weak. Like you said, bodybuilding, no one's doing it if you're jogging on the beach. So you do the elliptical, right? You do the Stairmaster. Even the Stairmaster is too aggressive, right?
Yeah.
So it's like do the elliptical, which is nice, or you do like stationary bike. I remember back in the 80s and 90s, back in the 80s really at Syracuse, there was some super famous old school powerlifters, and they would come in and they would sit in a stationary bike, read, it wasn't Cats, it's like the friends of like Cats, the big, the strong guy, and he would read his book, and I forgot his name. God, these are 900-pound squatters back in the 80s, buddy.
Okay.
And no like super suits. 7, 8, 9. Now it seems like everyone's doing it because the drug, but and his legs were huge. He had a belly, big. He's a 300-pound, 275 plus set 3. He would sit in the bike and just warm up his legs very carefully. And then he would do his thing, and then he would go back on the bike and just have it, just talking to people. But there's no one working. We just don't do. No one does cardio.
I mean, it makes sense. Why would you? It's not conducive to your goals.
At that point, you're just all about strength and building muscle. You don't want to do cardio.
There was another question just came up, and we've talked about this so many times, but it says, what does he think of, I think this guy's from Scandinavia. He says, what does he think of European TRT of 1,000 milligrams of test undeconate every 4 to 12 weeks? Comes from a guy named M87R. Now, you've talked about this before, but do they do blood work at regular intervals to see what the levels on these guys are like when they're getting such infrequent injections?
Yeah, so I have a lot of guys coming to me from overseas, and they're using Sustanon 250, and they use testosterone undeconate. It's called Nebido.
Nebido.
Like libido.
Okay.
It's called Nebido. Brilliant.
Brilliant marketing.
So, it's great. So, and I remember the trade journals looking at the journals, the medical journals from Europe 10 years ago, and they had a picture of a guy. It's always like a 50-something, 60-year-old guy, good-looking guy with the hair, and he's with a chick, and it shows him like in Switzerland in the winter, and then it goes, in Italy, in Rome in the spring, summer in Paris. And it was brilliant. And it was every season he gets a gram. I think someone corrected me, and they said it's 1,200 milligrams.
Okay.
And it starts off, they load it a few times, then it's every 3 months. In America, it's 750 milligrams, I believe, and it's every 10 weeks.
Wow.
So the reason why they shortened it is because of the oil embolus for the pulmonary embolus risk.
Okay.
So the answer to that is it does work though, guys. It does sustain. It goes like this slowly though. It's a very, very, very long acting ester. So it does work. It does work for men.
But if you're saying they do these every 3 months, is that right?
Yeah, in Europe every 3 months, every 10 weeks in America.
So I would imagine if I'm in Europe and it's the last month before my next injection, my levels are going to be sinking much lower than they were month 1 and month 2.
The problem, no, those are loading. So there's a loading dose, and then once you're steady state. But the problem is, again, these men come to me. I just think so happy they come to me because they want me to be involved. They're concerned for other aspects of their health and the heart and the kidney and sexual and everything else. So they come to me, and they can come into Florida or Connecticut, and we talk in the Skype first, blah blah blah. So they're really great guys. The doctors don't put the attention into it. The red blood cells, and the docs are just like, the docs are dismissive. And so they do blood work, I guess, but it seems like half the guys, they don't know if they have a PSA. They don't know. The guy today, his creatinine's almost 2, and I was like, well, what's your creatinine before? And it's not his fault. I mean, it is his fault, I guess, but it's like he just, they're not integrating it with primary care. It should be part of primary care.
Right.
It's not urology by itself. This is urology. It's a hormone for a man that affects every cell in his body, his heart, his blood, his prostate, his brain. Why wouldn't you work with that with primary care doctor? So they should be working together. That's what I do. Yeah. But so but most men don't like those long-acting pellets and those esters. No, these are not pincushions. Men like to keep the levels more like this, Ron.
Sure.
Small dose. I love this show because it's such simplicity and truth. Small doses, small frequent doses of cypionate or nanthate, people, it's a dream. If you're on testosterone, it's a dream. You feel great. Watch the other stuff. Everyone can have possible medical issues. Has nothing to do with it. As far as sustaining testosterone levels and free testosterone, that ratio, I think about that higher ratio into the man's brain. We're not the brightest bulbs in the tree, men. You want to keep that level. You don't want it to go like this. You don't want to crash. Why would you? These doctors are giving a shot every 2 weeks to every month. Look, it's great. It's a great business for me out there. I mean, they shouldn't do that. They should let the man, and they should find a regimen of injection and dose with the amount of concentration at the dose with the frequency, and they should find the regular, so it's very soft and undulating, and they should watch that man very carefully. But you know what? I don't know. It seems like the primary care doctors, they don't want to do it, Ron. They don't care.
It's just a lot of extra work, I would think. Is that the way they look at it?
Do you see how much work this is I don't really do primary care. I got a few people left. I'm going to hit with a cane if I tell her I don't do. I got about 6 primary care patients left.
Okay.
And this has been, but it took me 13, 14 years to transition over to this as a full-time job.
Yeah.
So this is TRT is for men is a lot of work, Ron. Mm-hmm. It's fully. You should see my desk today. got killed, and tonight I'm going out with urology guys have invited me out to Capitol Grill in Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh boy!
And I just don't want to say the name or what a company, what's going on. I'm going to learn tonight interventional radiology with interventional urologists about treating benign prostatic hyper BPH for a man. Yeah. With they inject small, they embolize, like we use embolization to cut cancer off, say for an example in the liver. They're doing this now for BPH. It's brand new, and of course they invite me out because I'm a men's health guy. Sure. I see men that have enlarged prostates, and your prostate enlarges, it feels like crap. So it's very uncomfortable, not to mention, is it cancer or is it BPH? What a great topic. Yeah. So I'm going out tonight to just spend my night at Capitol Grill. Of course, I'm going to have some lean steak, and I'm going to have my wine and some asparagus and probably nothing else because I'm on my ketogenic diet.
That's right.
But you know what, Ron? I'm going to sit there and I'm going to talk to the doctors, and I love going out to these things, and the pharmaceutical company pays, or the radiology guys are going to pay, and I have to deal with, and that's just going to be one thing tonight, BPH, just benign prostatic hyperplasia. I'm just going to do BPH tonight. But all my men that are on, that with or without testosterone, they have prostates. I'm an internist in a primary care like doc. I'm not a urologist. I have to understand where this is going in the academic literature and what the treatments are going on. So you have to stay abreast of these things.
Yeah.
So this is why these docs, it's too complicated, testosterone replacement.
Yeah. Like, it's a lot of work. I understand. Like you said, it's probably the same in Europe. They're probably seeing 40 patients a day.
Europe probably, I think they probably see 20 to 40, you're right. Because the socialized medicine is over there. I'm not going to get into that whole political thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, there's not the pressure so much like over here. But I don't know. But they don't sit around. These guys have to work, and it's stressful. The last thing they want to do. But there are probably some great doctors over there that really kind of do what I do. And there's that one doc we're going to have on the show, the Greek doctor. George sends me the most random shit on Instagram in the private messages. George is insane. I love George.
Calling attention to like posts he thinks, the bodybuilding related posts that he thinks I should take note of. But yeah, George, we'll get him on there. It seems like
George, we're going to have you on, Ron. Ron, please. The next show we're going to have on a special guest.
Yeah, I could show you all his direct messages.
He's insane. I love George. Let me tell you, George is. I give you Greece and part of Europe. You can be the anabolic doc over there. George is a great guy, brilliant guy. He's a pathologist, actually, hematology pathologist, very bright, knows the stuff cold. He writes his own books on PEDs and sports, and he agrees about the heart disease and all these things, because of course he does. And he's trying to bring attention. But George is like, what, one doctor in Greece? I mean, can't we get a few more?
Yeah, I mean, they do have a substantial population, I would think. So, okay. Our final question comes to us from a guy named Swole Jay. I don't know if that's supposed to be pronounced Swole Jay. Anyway, question for the doc. My endocrinologist just started me on TRT 3 months ago, 34 years old, and has me on 1 milligram, or 1 milliliter, / 200 milligrams of cypionate every other week. Okay, so he's on 200 mgs of cyp every other week. I know the doc says that's outdated, and I would be better with more stable levels using half a mil every week. Could he explain in detail about the negatives in fluctuating high and low T levels, assuming that the levels are all within the normal ranges, 300 to 1,000? My doctor wants to test my levels at the 2-week mark before my next shot to see how low my levels get. He doesn't seem concerned with how high my free test gets, but mainly how low I am 14 days after a shot. Since I started, my free T is usually around 500 2 weeks after an injection. Even if my levels are within the normal ranges, surely it would still be better to keep them consistent instead of higher and lower, even though it's all within the normal ranges on paper. The only negative I can tell so far is a lightheaded feeling for a few days before and after my injections. I assume that's the hormone fluctuations. That's a new one on me, lightheadedness.
I don't know, the lightheadedness, who knows? But here it is again, Ron. These are the basic questions.
Yeah.
This is common sense. The standard of care in America with the FDA says testosterone cypionate, enanthate, propionate, estrous testosterone, give the medicine every week, 2 weeks, or month. It's just what it says, guys. Yeah. So if you look at these are great doctors, they just don't know this stuff. So, but history is interesting. We're humans, so we're creatures of habit. It's just the way it's been since the 1970s, 60s. I mean, JFK was on suspension, so I think after 1960s, he was on suspension.
I didn't know that.
He was on 2 or 3. Oh, yeah, it's all medical documented. You should see it. Annals of Internal Medicine. He was
president on TRT. What do you know?
He was on suspension, Ron.
Wow, that had to hurt.
Yeah, he was on 2 or 3 shots a day, as you know.
Oh my goodness.
So JFK was that explains Marilyn Monroe and all the crazy.
I was going to say that. No wonder he was all sexually charged.
It's so awesome. Please, people, Annals of Internal Medicine, Google it. JFK they about 10 or 15 years ago they released it. I remember reading I probably saved it somewhere. And I remember he has Addison's disease because he had tuberculosis in World War II. It affected his adrenals. He had Addison, supposedly, and they also said he had hypogonadism. He was actually a great president.
Yeah.
So anyway, but beyond that, this dose regimen has been around forever. So doctors don't want to break from it because doctors are very conservative, not politically. They're very conservative. They want to color within the lines. So they just don't understand, but they will if you bring it to his attention. Doc, my levels, if he checks the levels 2 or 3 days after an injection, 1 cc, 1 mil of cypionate,
Yeah.
it's going to be, let me make a guess, 1,800, 1,600. It could be 900. It depends on your metabolism. But if you check it, the nadir, we all check it. It's called nadir dosing, trough dosing. I do it too because you don't want to see the peak. You want to see a trough. But when you see a trough after 2 weeks or a month, you're going to be in the garbage tank. So you're definitely going to have a huge fluctuation. The truth is, this is why the anti-aging guys have rescued this 20 years ago, 10 years ago. It's okay. It's so simple. Small doses more frequently. It's typically every 3 to 5 to 7 days, 0.35 to 0.6. That's like the range. That will cover, and they're not going to be too high. There's no steroids going on.
Yeah.
And you see how a man feels sexually, his mood is, and then you just watch his red blood cells, you watch his heart. It's all my stuff, prostate. You watch him, and then he stays in a holding pattern, and it's usually you don't have to change it much. So, but the docs, a lot of patients come to see me because I say this over and over, their doctor doesn't want to break from that injection
Schedule. Yeah.
schedule, and he just doesn't feel comfortable doing it. You know what, guys? Leave it alone. Leave the doc alone. Come to me, come to my doctors, or go to a very good doctor. I just try to stay away from anti-aging. I don't like the word anti-aging. Stupid. It's a dumb word.
It's a great marketable term though, because geez, I don't want to get old. Anti-aging. This is awesome.
I've launched off enough on that. Yeah. I'm going to stay grounded on that one tonight.
Okay. Well, that is all the questions I have for you today, Doctor. Appreciate it very much. Next time we'll get some updates. Actually, we're talking about maybe another. Well, we're just going to give a little teaser. We're not going to say anything about who it is or what, but we're thinking about doing another interview with a 3-way call next week. So guys, get geared up. If it happens, it's going to be a really, really cool one.
It's going to be a good one, guys. It's going to be a follow-up with a patient that has, I'll say, had severe kidney disease. And this is the kidney disease guy, and it's going to be interesting. We're going to do like a 2-year follow-up. And so let's see if he wants to come on the show. And he's a famous guy. He's a famous, amazing lifter. We'll just say a lifter. He's one of the Brotherhood. Right. And he's a great freaking guy, too. So let's see if we can get him on.
Fingers crossed. Okay. Well, that is it for this week. Make sure you check out the doctor's website, metabolicdoc.com. There's links there to all his social media, his YouTube channel. He's putting out some great videos lately. What was the last one you just put out about Winstrol?
Oh, Tren and Winstrol, a dangerous steroid combination, blowing up.
So you guys out there using Tren and Winstrol together, you should definitely watch that video.
Ron, remember that, though, in the 90s?
I never combined those two things personally. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I did. I'll take that back. But, okay, I'll find out when I watch the video how bad that was for me.
I'm just seeing it more, Ron. It's just cool that I'm just seeing it more. There's actually a combined where they put it together in one.
Oh wow.
It's a combined. It's a liquid. Yeah.
I've heard. You know what? I've heard of that. I can't recall what it's called.
Yeah.
I think it's 3 steroids in one. They've combined three different steroids into one product.
It's freaking unreal. It's unreal. I mean, guys get the strength and it's just unreal. Oh, but watch the video for what you see with what I see happening.
See, my eyes lit up when I thought about that. Boy,
it's like a kid in the candy shop.
I know, it's terrible. All right, so check out metabolicdoc.com. If you're watching this on the MD YouTube page, please subscribe. Thanks for your questions. Keep the questions coming. Go to the No Bull Forum on musculardevelopment.com. There's always a thread up about Ask the Anabolic Doc. That's where you can submit your questions, or you can get them to the doctor through his social media. And we love helping you guys out. That's what the doctor's here for. He's doing great work. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.